So being a small business, people forget there's a business behind us, Dave.
Yeah.
Like there's a business that owns and operates this little thing
we're
we
just
got.
pawns.
Yeah, we just are. You know, the overlords that own that LLC. We just work for them. But we got our taxes done for this side of the business. We're in tax season.
Yep, we're here.
We're in tax season, and we all know it. And we're very fortunate because of viewers and fans that our little side hustle made a little cash.
Brought to you from viewers like you.
Yeah, and it's not changed us. We haven't changed. We're still the same old. But when I was driving back and I was looking at what preparation of taxes for this, what do you guys think our founding fathers would say about the current state of taxation in this country?
A bunch of whiskey drinkers went up in arms over tea tax. That motherfucker didn't drink the tea.
What'd they do with it?
They threw it in the harbor.
They threw it in the daggone water.
But that's what I'm saying. So, I started to think about it, and you see this come out around election season, especially on a national or state stage, and you look at how many taxes that you pay. There's the taxes we all think about a lot. Property tax. If you own taxes here in the county, which the sticker shock of property taxes in this county last year was enough to send a lot of people almost probably up in arms with pitchforks, because I know there was a lot of folks that their property tax was quite steep.
Mine was.
You look at...
Ours went up.
Yeah. Well, when new neighbor comes down the road, ours is going up again.
Yeah.
So you got
property. No, that was affected now, wasn't it?
No. Once they build and assess the value of that new home they built on that lot.
Well, I mean, that just with the title transfer now, it went up.
Yeah, and it's going to go up more.
Yeah, when they build and reassess, it'll go up more.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like we already got hit once with the title transfer in this first installment.
Yeah.
And then we'll get hit again.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they get done building.
So we got property taxes, Dave. You got sales tax on things. You buy, if you're a cigarette smoker, you got cigarette taxes, alcohol taxes.
I would
on your
challenge
gas.
you to find something that's not taxed.
Exactly. And so you start to think about,
you buy a vehicle, sales tax.
Yeah.
On the money that you got taxed because somebody paid it to you. Then once you get the vehicle, you got to pay your goddamn excise tax to be able to drive the motherfucker on the road that the gas tax ain't even fixing that it says it's going to fix.
So,
and then you go and you give money to the schools for some other bullshit, but they're already taking those taxes out of your goddamn income taxes.
See, this is where I'm saying, like with this testosterone stuff, like we're gonna have to get
Dave's gonna be.
We're gonna have to get a bigger table.
Yeah, Dave is gonna roid it out.
Taxation without representation. That was what the key first American.
But
colonist.
That's why they want so many folks thinking they're disabled and can't take care of themselves, because it takes that voting base for everybody to keep wanting to be on the tit of big government.
Is that right?
Oh, big government's a big problem.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. So the Constitution, although the Founding Fathers, the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1, gives Congress the power to impose taxes and other levies on the general public. It wasn't till the Civil War in which they created the Office of the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. Now, back then, the Civil War, income tax was levied to pay for the Union in the Civil War, which was 3% of all incomes over, I think it was $600. So it was a flat tax back then. But where we really got bamboozled, there was some
bamboozled.
Well, there was a case by the Supreme Court.
That's another one of them fun words to say.
Bamboozled. There was a case in front of the Supreme Court.
Pergola.
And I'm pulling it up. Let's see here.
Road.
So there was a case.
What is it?
It was called Pollock versus Farmers Loan and Trust Company. Taxes on rent from real estate or on interest income from personal property and other income were direct tax on property. Since the apportionment of income tax is impractical, the Pollock's ruling had the effect of prohibiting a federal tax on income from the property. Due to the political difficulties of taxing individual wages without taxing income from property, federal income tax was impractical because of Pollock. So our politicians way back then decided that we're going to push through the 16th Amendment, which allows Congress to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived without apportionment among the several states and without regard to any census or enumeration.
Do you ever charge a dad tax for things?
Just so my kids know that nothing in life is fair, and no matter what they think they have, somebody else has got claim to it.
Yeah.
That's the American dream for you right there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Just slamming it in your ass.
I think you really like
up.
this topic.
I do not like it. Like, I don't know. It's a far stretch. I used to think I was like the great, like the biggest pro-American person. I'm very patriotic, but I don't think America today is what the forefathers envisioned.
Oh, not a chance.
And we've really just gone to shit in a handbasket with a bunch of snivelly nosed little bitches all over the place that can't take care of themselves. Oh, God, I get fired up, guys.
we're going to revisit this topic when Dave gets
At
on his
least 2 or 3
testosterone
more
therapy.
times.
Here's the problem I've got is the problem that I think kills me the most about taxes, like, is people don't understand the history lesson behind it and what causes it.
Well, it's nothing
and how
new.
you can, but people don't know that about stuff when it comes to government and economics and the basic knowledge. Like, it's easy to control and manipulate when you're a dumb population of people
with no arms.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, that's the problem with all this. So you think about, we made it
non-political podcast.
We do, yeah, but it's
In
it's
1862, President Lincoln signed into law a revenue-raising measure to help pay for Civil War expenses.
yeah, which is then that's where,
3% tax on $610,000.
and I'm sure politicians sold it back then of, well, when we get into these wars, we got to be able to pay them, so let's levy taxes.
Well, you
Now,
talk,
if you
but
can
now
do
it's
that
out of
and
control.
it, I'm all for it. There is absolutely reasons where a people should have to put in for that to protect what is in the best interest of the people.
Yeah,
Remember all the daggone the scrap steel drives and stuff, and
Yeah.
World War II,
Rationing,
all that horse
yep.
shit. I mean, there's a time and a place, but you can't just keep it pulling on out to send however many billions of dollars to Ukraine.
yeah,
and
that's wild. They talked about the tax man in Bible times too. Right?
yeah, tax
You had
collectors.
to pay the tax collector back then.
I think the only thing I wish is that when it came to paying taxes, first off, everybody should be a small business owner. If you own a small business and you're paying a quarterly payment, so when I was in private practice, I paid a quarterly payment to the IRS because you pay your quarterlies. So at the end of the year, you don't all of a sudden, hey, you owe the federal government $75,000 for making.
Yikes!
Oh, there was some, like, towards the end, like my quarterly payments, it was, I would have probably 30 or 40 grand by the end of the year paid into quarterly payments.
Sheesh.
And that's writing a check out of your check. Like, that's why you truly want to learn and know your disdain for the IRS. Go into a small business for yourself. Like, it is unbelievable how just infuriating it is. But the problem of it, like, the tax code, if you looked at the tax code, that is, 2 miles thick, and you could simplify 95% of it.
Yeah.
Like, people get mad about the rich and wealthy and what they do. Well, guess who pay the rich and wealthy to pass the laws that do these things? So you want to be mad at somebody that goes and spends a bunch of money to save a bunch of money? Well, they're just finding loopholes in those tax codes. Like, it's fair game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But for most of us, are you going to go hire a tax attorney for your, like, it's not.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people around here that get these big, checks back, they don't realize that's your own money.
Yeah.
The federal government's not giving you money. That's your own money that you weren't able to spend throughout the year.
How many people did you know? How many people have you known in the past that actually did like a? Is it a 1099? What is it where you have more money deducted throughout the year to where you get a bigger tax return. What's that called?
It's just the way you've set up your taxes.
So,
It's
like, there
a
was-
withholding, an income withholding.
Some people that I know would do that. Like they would write their taxes up to where they would take more, each pay period to where they would get they'd get like $10,000-$15,000 back. And I'm like, that's the dumbest thing. That you're using the government as a savings account. That's the
Not
stupidest
a
thing.
savings account, a holding account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the dumbest thing I've ever. That's stupid. Why would you do that? I don't know. That just is me. But
Well,
that's
I was
ignorant.
always told when I first started my business, you either want to owe no money or pay just a little bit in,
for sure.
and that's where you want to live or where you want to be,
You want to pay tax. Like that's the whole big deal.
Yeah.
Like, you want to pay,
but
tax.
not that much tax.
right. Yeah.
So I don't know. I just because after we did it today, I was like, and you hear the horror stories
Mm-hmm.
about people with taxes, and people don't understand that
Like
that's your own money. Like to your point, you're using it as a holding account, but it's just if you got something for it, because you say we don't get into politics,
How do
but
people screw up and like have to pay boatloads of money in every time? Like how does that work?
because like for us one year, last
I
year,
remember you saying this too.
well, last year we for some reason with the resort we didn't check the right box for withholding more of federal. So we got like $60 from the state of Indiana back, which is fine. That's good. I mean, we didn't pay too much in and we didn't vice versa. But on federal, we got slapped bad. And it was like,
yeah, like I know people that have to pay in like $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to the
because they don't check the right boxes on what they're withholding.
As an HR person or whoever sets that up for you at your employer, like how the hell do you let that happen?
They don't dip those toes in those waters because people do different things.
Yeah.
Are you claiming as a head of household? Are you claiming as this? Are you doing this?
Yeah.
How many dependents are you claiming?
See, I guess there's where we get into that whole 2-mile thick tax code book about like all these different options. I don't know, I guess, which you couldn't just make it blanketly like, here's where you're at, this is what you do.
Oh, you could. I think you could.
No, I mean like in uniformity throughout the entire country. Like you couldn't just blanketly say, hey, your tax rate is going to be the same as this guy's tax rate, and here's how it's going to shake.
Well,
out.
you hear politicians sometimes campaign on everybody paying a flat tax. Because now what you have is you have brackets that you fall within, and I don't know what the marginal income brackets are.
Yeah.
But, you have the capital gains. You got capital gains taxes.
So all that stuff and this whole tax conversation that we're having, like it's just another thing that I'm totally ignorant about. I've always just taken my shit I get from my employer, drive them to a tax prep guy, hand them over, pay my $200, go back and get my return, and then I'm done. Like I've never tried to file a long form. I've never looked into, anything. And I don't know. Like I've never really had that much of a complicated tax return, I guess.
Well, and that's probably about right. Most
Like
people wouldn't.
The thing I don't understand is like your tax prep, which, like how people that I've heard of people paying like $500-$600 to have their taxes prepared, like can you do that shit on TurboTax like for free?
You can, but you can dick it up just as much as you can do it right if you're paying attention.
My younger brother, he went through H&R Block one time, and they had him getting back like $6-7 grand. And he brought his stuff home and told mom and dad. Mom and dad kind of started looking through it like, you don't have a kid. Like, you don't have something like it. And so they took it up here to a local shop, and they're like, yeah,
Have you ever been audited?
Stuff. No.
I have. Justine and I have. We got audited, and turns out we got hung too because we had to pay back. Like there again, the guy that we paid our money to do our taxes.
He should have covered that if
he didn't.
Wrong. He should have.
No, he didn't, and we had to pay it back. It was like a couple $100.
Was this recent?
No, it was not recent. No, I mean we've only been married, however many years. So I mean that wasn't like a decade ago, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
go for
had
it.
we talked about it, that's what I'm saying. You and I talked about it.
Well, we talked about it So we
Or
had
another issue.
we had an issue. This is the second issue. We
Oh,
had two issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But the first issue was the reason why we didn't use that particular place anymore.
Gotcha.
And then we decided to maybe give it another shot, and we went back and had another issue.
Yeah, that's probably.
But now we don't do that anymore.
But I just like, I'm not anti like paint. Like I get it. It's just when you look at,
Yeah, but if you want to use money to fix your roads, if you want to use money to improve your sidewalks, if you want to use money to, I mean, I can get down on those type of taxes, right?
Schools. I mean, there's plenty of reasons for taxes.
Right. I mean, that's what you're trying
yeah, that's
to
what
say.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I have a problem with where the extent of where our tax dollars go to other things that we have no bit. Like you brought up Ukraine. Like I'm sure there's a whole geopolitical argument that could occur about this, and we're not going to dip our toes in that water.
Well, there was locally there was a place near here that recently passed, and it was voted by the residents of there to pass a food and beverage tax for a new recreation.
Oh,
pool
that's
and
right.
everything.
Yeah.
And everybody's all excited. So now, anytime you go to any place in this town for a restaurant or whatever, you're paying an extra couple percent, I think, of a tax to cover the cost of this recreation center. And everybody's all happy about it. And then come to find out, the place they were going to stick it, they couldn't put it.
Yeah.
So now they've just now recently gotten this to where they found another place. But it's like, good grief. How long is it going to take now? Because they had all that figured out to be able to move forward with proposing for this tax to pay for it because it was all quoted. So they passed the tax. And then
Pass the tax before you have everything ready to
we
go.
forgot about this, so they've had to find a new place now, and that's the kind of stuff that fires you up. Because now, how long does this tax have to be there? Because we've already started, we can't stop. You know.
Well, and you never. The other problem of it is you never see taxes come off the books.
Nope.
So that food and beverage tax. Like,
So here's something my mom was saying something today. Have you heard or seen on TikTok? People are talking about like this surge. Like this
You're talking
surge.
about Wendy's.
Is that what it is?
Uber does it. So Uber during busy hours charges more because it's a supply and demand situation.
Yeah.
So Wendy's now is going to try to change their menu pricing during the surge hours due to supply and demand. So the theory was that they would charge more when there was more people and they were busier.
Yeah.
Not a tax though.
Is it only Wendy's franchises that are doing it?
Yeah, it wasn't something.
Well, I think it's going to be a problem because you're going to raise taxes. You're going to raise not taxes. You're going to raise the price when people are there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So between noon and people just won't go there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. Like you're going to price yourself out.
Yeah.
I feel like they're almost there now. Like it is
pretty damn close.
Insane, man.
Yeah.
Pretty damn close.
Old Dave Thomas rolling in his grave.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
Dude.
very true. But I don't know. I get it. I just feel like
You got to have taxes for a government to run. I have an issue with the way that we're taxed, and there's no end to the tax.
and I have a way with how the politicians just don't give a damn about what
Because they've got
Middle
the money
America
for the
pays.
tax lawyers.
Yeah. Or they just commit insider trading
Yeah, that's true.
and make plenty of money. You shouldn't make $150,000 a year in one of the largest metropolitan areas where it's not cheap to live and leave that job and be worth millions more than what you were when you went in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wonder if there's enough common folk that could ever get behind some kind of movement where you clean up a lot of that shit. That's the question,
I'm
Dave.
trying to get off my high horse, but I don't think so. That's why we've been pushing so many people that they've got issues and problems that they can't solve on their own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.